Hello, my name is Alexis. I'm 33 years old, and my life has been a whirlwind of events lately. So much has happened that it feels like I've been caught in a storm, unable to find steady ground. If I had to describe myself, I would say that I can be a little too trusting, sometimes to the point of being naive. I have a habit of ignoring red flags, even when they're right in front of me. I always try to see the good in people, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it has led me to some painful experiences. Looking back, I realize that my trusting nature played a big role in what happened to me. Luckily, I've been blessed with some truly amazing people in my life, people who stand by me when I feel like I can't stand up for myself. But before I dive into the painful details of my story, I want to introduce you to two key people from my past, my ex-husband, Kevin, and my former best friend, Hannah. Hannah, my best friend since high school. Hannah and I met in high school, and despite our differences, we became inseparable. I was the shy, bookish type, always lost in a novel or focused on my studies. She, on the other hand, was the kind of girl who could turn heads without even trying. She was effortlessly beautiful, and though she often acted like she didn't enjoy the attention, I always had a feeling that deep down, she did. Despite our opposite personalities, she took a liking to me, and we started spending a lot of time together after school. Over the years, our bond grew stronger. Even when we went to different colleges, we stayed in touch, visiting each other whenever we could. After graduation, we both moved back to our hometown, and it felt like nothing had changed. We picked up right where we left off, meeting almost every day, sharing everything with each other, and leaning on each other through life's ups and downs. Kevin, the man I thought I would spend forever with. I met Kevin when I was 23. A mutual friend introduced us, and from the very first conversation, I was drawn to his warmth and infectious laughter. He had one of those personalities that made everyone feel welcome, like you had known him forever, even if you had just met. I've never been someone who focuses too much on looks. Growing up around beautiful people, I quickly learned that appearances can be deceiving. What mattered to me was kindness, humor, and authenticity, and Kevin seemed to have all of that. We dated for 3.5 years before we decided to take the next step. Our wedding was a beautiful, joyful day, filled with love and laughter. Even though things didn't turn out the way I had hoped, I still cherish the memories of that day. It was even more special because Hannah was right there by my side, supporting me. I remember feeling relieved that she genuinely seemed to like Kevin. She made a noticeable effort to bond with him from the moment they met, which I took as a good sign. Looking back, the subtle signs I missed. One evening, not long after I introduced Kevin to Hannah, I noticed a change in her behavior. "You seem really interested in Kevin," I mentioned casually. "What are you talking about?" she asked, tilting her head with an innocent smile. "You've been asking him all these thoughtful questions, really trying to get to know him." She laughed and teased. "Can you blame me? Just look at him. You snagged a real looker." Jokingly, I asked, "Should I be worried that you might steal him away from me?" She waved her hand dismissively. "Of course not. I'm just messing with you. But honestly, he is handsome, and more than that, he's got a great personality." I smiled. "That's what I love about him. His looks are just a bonus." She smirked. "If I were in your shoes, his personality wouldn't even matter." At the time, I thought nothing of it. I was just happy that two of the most important people in my life were getting along so well. Too close for comfort. As the months passed, Hannah and Kevin's friendship grew stronger. They got along wonderfully, which made me happy. At first, unlike my past relationships, where Hannah had been indifferent or even slightly disapproving of my boyfriends, she seemed to genuinely like Kevin. Hannah was always around. She would drop by unannounced, make herself comfortable on our couch, and sometimes even cook for us. It never bothered me. I trusted both of them completely. There were times I'd come home from work and find them lounging on the sofa together, watching a show. They were naturally affectionate people, hugging, playfully nudging each other, but I didn't think much of it. I've always been an affectionate person myself, so I never saw it as a red flag. But looking back, I realize I was blind to what was right in front of me. The night everything changed. It had been 6 months since Kevin and I got married. I had been working late on an important project and was absolutely exhausted. As I pulled into our apartment complex, I spotted Hannah's car in the parking lot. A smile crossed my face. I assumed she had come over to keep Kevin company while I was stuck at work. I also hoped she had cooked dinner. As she often did, I was starving. But when I stepped inside, something felt off. The apartment was dark. Usually, the TV would be on, or at least a lamp in the living room, but that night, the only light was a faint glow coming from under our bedroom door. A weird feeling settled in my stomach. We rarely hung out in the bedroom unless all three of us were together, but still, my trust in them was so strong that I never even considered the worst possibility. Thinking they might have fallen asleep while waiting for me, I quietly opened the door. And that's when my entire world shattered. There they were, not just sleeping, but wrapped in each other in a way that left no room for doubt. I stood frozen, my heart pounded in my ears, and my stomach twisted into painful knots. I couldn't process what I was seeing. I don't even remember how I shut the door or how long I sat in the dark living room, feeling like my entire world had collapsed. Then, Hannah stepped out of the bedroom. When she saw me, she flinched. "Oh, you're back, Alexis," she said, forcing a smile. "Tough day at work?" I swallowed hard. "Yeah, what were you guys doing in there?" "Nothing much, just taking a nap," she replied too casually. I clenched my fists. "Don't lie to me, I saw you." She hesitated, then sighed. "Listen, Alexis, it's not what you think." Kevin stepped out behind her, rubbing the back of his neck. "We're really sorry, it just happened. You're always at work, and I guess we got lonely." My breath caught in my throat. "Lonely, that's your excuse?" "We appreciate everything you do," Hannah added. "I mean, you're the one holding everything together financially. Maybe we just—" I cut her off. I couldn't listen anymore. Their words felt like knives slicing through me. I grabbed my car keys and walked out, needing to escape. I drove aimlessly, stopping to eat even though I wasn't hungry. Then, without thinking, I drove 3 hours to my mother's house. When I arrived, she didn't ask questions. She just made me a cup of warm cocoa and sat beside me in silence. And in that moment, her quiet presence was exactly what I needed. I had always stood by her, until now. The bond we had built over the years, the trust one had given so freely, had all been shattered in an instant. Her betrayal was not just a mistake, it was a choice, a deliberate decision to cross a line that should never have been crossed. Looking back, I realized that all the warning signs had been there. The way she looked at Kevin, the way she laughed just a little too hard at his jokes, the lingering touches that I had brushed off as friendly gestures. It was all so obvious now, but I had been blind to it, or maybe, I just didn't want to see it. After that devastating night, I fled to my mother's house, needing a place where I felt safe, where I could gather my thoughts without the risk of running into either of them. The next 4 days passed in a blur. I ignored every call and text from Kevin and Hannah, unwilling to hear their excuses or empty apologies. It seemed that Hannah had wasted no time in telling our mutual friends her version of events, as they too began reaching out, but I wasn't ready to talk. The pain was too fresh, the betrayal too deep. Knowing I needed time to process everything, I took a week off from work. The last thing I wanted was to have any professional obligations forcing me back into my normal routine. I needed space to breathe, to think, to figure out what came next. When I finally felt ready to return home, my mother hugged me tightly, her warmth offering a small comfort. "Stay strong, sweetheart," she whispered as I stepped out the door. Driving back, I took my time, my hands gripping the wheel tighter than necessary. I wasn't ready to face them, but I had to. This was my home. I had a right to be there. As I pulled into the parking lot of my apartment complex, my heart dropped. Hannah's car was still parked in the same spot it had been when I left. Anger flared up inside me, replacing the anxiety that had been building up. How dare she still be here? Did they think I was just going to disappear and let them play house in my home? Had they been together this whole time, living out their little fantasy while I was struggling to pick up the pieces of my broken life? My mind raced with all the things I wanted to say, the things I wanted to do, but I forced myself to take deep breaths, trying to steady my emotions. I needed to be in control. I needed to handle this the right way. Before stepping out of the car, I made a quick decision. I needed to document this moment. Whatever happened next, I wanted proof. I set my phone to record and slipped it into my pocket, ensuring that every word spoken would be saved. Taking a deep breath, I stepped into my apartment. The sight before me made my blood boil. Kevin and Hannah were curled up together on the couch, completely at ease, watching some show like nothing had happened. My presence startled them. and Kevin immediately stood up, moving toward me as if to embrace me. Alexis, he started, but I stepped back, raising a hand to stop him. Don't you dare touch me, I snapped, my voice steady despite the rage bubbling inside me. Hannah sat frozen, refusing to meet my eyes. I crossed my arms, my expression cold. You have exactly 5 minutes to explain yourselves. After that, I want Hannah out of my house. Kevin hesitated before speaking. I'm so sorry you had to see that. I let out a bitter laugh. Are you sorry that I saw it, or are you sorry that you got caught? Hannah finally found her voice. I'm sorry, Alexis, but Kevin and I are in love. My breath hitched, but I refused to let my emotions take over. So you're not sorry for betraying me, you're just sorry that it ended this way? Kevin nodded. I've had feelings for her from the start, he admitted, as if that somehow made things better. Then why did you marry me? I asked, my voice quieter now. Because I didn't want to lose you, he said, his tone almost pleading. I scoffed, and you thought cheating on me wouldn't make you lose me? How does that make any sense? Kevin sighed, running a hand through his hair. I don't know what else to say. Alexis, I love her, I can't hide it anymore. I've been meaning to talk to you about a divorce. My heart clenched at his words. A divorce? We've only been married 6 months. How long has this been going on? Hannah shifted uncomfortably. About a year, she admitted. Kevin has wanted a divorce for a while, but he felt guilty. I took a step back, the betrayal sinking in even deeper. So you never even intended to make this marriage work? Then Hannah dropped another bombshell. I'm pregnant, Alexis. A heavy silence filled the room. Am I supposed to congratulate you? I asked, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Don't be like that, Hannah said, almost pleadingly. We wanted to wait for you to come back so we could tell you that we're getting married next month. I stared at them, stunned. Then, Kevin gestured to the packed boxes in the corner. We'll be out of your place soon, Alexis. I still think of you as my best friend. I hope you can come to the wedding. Something inside me snapped. Go to hell, both of you, I shouted, surprising even myself with the sheer anger in my voice. They had lied, deceived, and manipulated me for over a year, and now, they expected me to celebrate their union? I turned away, retreating to my bedroom and locking the door. The weight of everything came crashing down, but I was too drained to cry. I collapsed onto my bed, exhaustion taking over. By morning, they were gone. The apartment felt empty, but so did I. In the months that followed, I moved back in with my mother and slowly started piecing my life together. Therapy helped, work kept me busy, and eventually, the sharp sting of betrayal dulled. Then, one day, I got an unexpected call from Kevin's mother. I just found out what he did to you, she said, and I want to make things right. How do you feel about a little revenge? For the first time in months, I smiled. Maybe justice wasn't so far away after all.